Hi everyone, welcome to today's online class. I'm a museum educator, Wenjing, from the Emperor Qin Shi Huang's Mausoleum Site Museum. In today's class, it's all about the conservation work of the terracotta warriors. And we're going to experience how to conserve a replica of the terracotta warrior. It has aroused many people's attention ever since these terracotta warriors were excavated. So most people find it very attractive and also mysterious. So today we're going to find out the mystery behind the terracotta warriors. Now I'm going to share my screen with you. Now you can see the theme of this lesson. I'm a conservator, conservation of a replica terracotta warrior. First, I want to show you a picture. That is actually a picture of the largest terracotta warrior pit number 1. It's also the first one we found in 1974. This whole pit, we can see that it was separated into so many sections. So we can see in the front, those soldiers standing here are intact because they were restored by the experts and also put back to their original location. But actually, this section in the middle, that's it. That's how the terracotta warriors look like when they were excavated. So most of them were like this when they were found. That's a picture, can show us the detail and show us originally in the pit. That's a picture of the third excavation section inside the pit number 1. So most of them were destroyed into hundreds of, even thousands of pieces. And also the whole pit of pit number 1 was actually destroyed by rebels 2,000 years ago, and also the whole pit was set on fire. That's why we can see many black charcoals on the side. But where today we will see them as a whole again because they were restored by the experts, and they will be treated by the conservators after they were excavated, and they will be whole again. Now let's look at some representative terracotta warriors. You can see that the 3 soldiers in this picture, they have kind of a common character because they belong to the normal soldiers. So they don't wear armors. So they don't wear caps. And the first one is cavalryman, the second one, the kneeling archer, and also we have the standing archer. But actually the caps means the different ranks of the soldiers. So their caps and the different styles indicate their various ranks. Now in this picture, we can see 3 terracotta warriors here. They wear different types of caps. So for the middle ranking officer, he wears a flat board-like headgear. And for the high-ranking officer, he wears a 荷冠, which was also in the form of a raised double wing. And now we can see the details of these 2 different types. So also you can see the charioteer here. That one belongs to the middle ranking officer. And now back to this picture for the first section and also the middle part. But now we can see rear part of this pit number 1 is actually a restoration area. And that's a picture of it. So the restoration area in pit number 1 is actually also called hospital. So as a result of the fire and also the natural decay, the roof of this terracotta warrior pits collapsed. So the terracotta warriors and horses inside were pressed into fragments, and none of them were fully intact when they were unearthed. So restoring these broken figures is actually a painstaking work for the museum conservators. And these amazing cultural relics that bear the history were already broke into hundreds of pieces. So you might be very curious about how to make a broken pottery figure whole again. Now let's find out together. And there are actually 10 different steps. The first one here is extracting broken terracotta warriors. So we're going to go through all these steps one by one. After these terracotta warriors were found, their journey begins here. from the replica hospital. The first step is to schedule appointments, and it's actually like extracting every broken piece from the terracotta warrior pits and move them to the lab. So you can see on these two pictures, the conservators are extracting these small pieces or the body parts of terracotta warriors carefully. And here comes the second step. After they were extracted, we need to record all the information of the terracotta warrior's condition, like taking pictures and plotting shapes, taking notes. So all these details, like the quantity of the pieces or the shape, the damage, or how broken the body parts are, will all be recorded. So these are exterior information. And actually, there are also interior information on the broken fragments, like the imprints engraved or carved on the hidden parts of terracotta warriors. And sometimes we can even see the fingerprints of the Qin people 2,000 years ago. And this recording can help us to see the differences of the terracotta warriors, their before and after the restoration. It's just like creating their own patient records for every terracotta warrior. So that's a picture of a real record of the terracotta warrior. So obviously it was written in Chinese. So we can see the name of this terracotta warrior and where it was found, and also the serial number of it, and even the excavation time and who was involved in this excavation work and how they look like. They were all written in words and also with pictures. The third step, diagnosing. And by diagnosing, we can and analyzing. So the conservators in the museum are also called doctors, because the restoration process are quite similar to the process when people go to see a doctor. And we can even see lots of equipment and all kinds of tools displayed in the restoration area. As you can see on the background of these two pictures, the conservators will find out what kind of disease they have, or how they got sick, or how sick are they by regular checkups. And sometimes even modern time technology will be applied to find out. And with the help of this technology and this advanced equipment, it will be very easier for us to recognize the disease. And here we can see some pictures of the beautiful color samples when they were put under the microscope. So even the microscope, the ultrasonic analysis, and even X-ray, 3D scannings, all this modern time technology we see actually used in the hospital will be used on the terracotta warriors to figure out what kind of disease they have. And all these small samples will be magnified by the endoscope. And the next step, planning treatment. So after examining the results came out, the experts will consulting together to make a certain treatment plan for every warrior according to their health condition. So in these two pictures, you can see how the step looks like. And the next one, cleaning up all these attacks. So after the terracotta warriors restorated, we covered with some time, and also even fungi. So the fungus is one of the major source of the damage to the terracotta warriors. So there are different types and different shapes of them, and sometimes different colors. So they alter the appearance of the terracotta warriors or other burial relics inside the terracotta warrior pits. So the air and the visitors are actually mainly responsible for all this transport of the fungus. So the conservators have to reduce the temperature, the humidity, and also they need to change the water environment of the terracotta warriors. But actually, the most successful measure is to use biocide. So it won't damage the appearance of the relics, but it's actually very functional. So it has an excellent controlling effect on all these fungus types in the terracotta warrior pits. And this picture shows how the attachments and fungi are cleared out on the surface of the terracotta warriors. In this picture, here we can see all these tools used in this process. So the conservators will inject the chemical liquids onto the surface to soften the attachments like dirt. And then they will use scalpels or bamboo sticks to clean them up. The most important part of today's online session, piecing together broken parts. So that's actually a very useful step for us because we're going to do that later. So all these skills make sure that every piece is into their original place correctly. So you can see this part is actually a very painstaking work to do. And two fundamental rules are carried out throughout this whole process. Piecing the bigger fragments first, that's number one. And number two is piecing them together from the bottom to the top. So as you can see here on the picture. And these skilled conservators, they will test the missing parts and try to make the right connections first. And some fragments have marks on them to indicate where they were found. And according to these marks, the pieces are then put together again and then glued together by epoxy resin, and before they were sent back to their original locations of their funding location. And it's actually a very hard work to do. It's even more complicated to piece a jigsaw piece puzzle. And you can see it's actually a life-sized terracotta warrior, so it's much more harder. And restoring a terracotta warrior like this is like piecing a life-sized 3D puzzle with hundreds of thousands of pieces. Creating conservation and restoration records. So after all these processes we have went through together, we'll still need to complete the entire conservation and the restoration records, including all these steps or all these skills or methods that we employed during the whole process of conserving a terracotta warrior. And also pictures will be attached to this record. After all these processes, it's actually not finished yet. So the warriors need to be observing, need to go through the observing time. So they'll be observed inside the pit, or sometimes they'll be observed in the lab. This whole step here is actually very necessary because we need to see if they can. We need to make sure that they're whole again, and also we need to make sure there are no any other kind of attachments or any other damage happened to them. So there will be a long time observation waiting for them, and it actually take even months to see if they got deformed after 3 months. And if the broken pieces are still sticking together after this time, this is kind of can be discharged at that time. And also we need to see if the colorful paints got peeled off again naturally after the 3 months. So all these factors will be observed, and then if they are still fine, and there will be a discharge. So that's actually the last step of this whole process. And discharging. Registering is actually like this picture shown here. Every one of them, the terracotta warriors, after they were restored, they'll have an ID card like this. So it's actually very similar to the Chinese citizens ID card. And if all these problems during the process are not existing again, and they will be registered and then discharged. So on this picture here, that's a personal ID card of a warrior who named Zhao. And it's like a Chinese citizen's real ID card. Discharging means that some of the terracotta warriors will be put back to their original location inside the pits, and some of them are turned over to the Department of the Collection Management. So that's the entire process of restoring a terracotta warrior. So you might wonder, how long would it take to restore a warrior after the excavation? And the answer is actually about 3 to 6 months. So inside pin number 1, all this intact terracotta warrior we're looking at right now, they were restored from small pieces to a whole terracotta warrior, and take that long time to come back again. We can see that we only are going to go through a small step of it by piecing them together and also gluing them together. But actually, it's much more complicated and harder in the real life, in the conservation. The team of the conservators aims to restore the relic's original appearance by applying the principle of minimum intervention. And they have already devoted themselves to research on conserving the cultural relics in the Terracotta Warrior Museum. And precisely because of their dedication, the terracotta warriors can be revived again. And these warriors opened a door to the glory of Chinese civilization. And these cultural relics link the past with the present. And the technology helps us and helps the cultural relics to show the high artistic level of the Qing people 2,000 years ago have already reached. So that's all about the session. And now we're going to do it by ourselves. So you can see we have some tools already prepared for you. So first, unboxing the package. So wearing the mask and also the medical gloves to protect you. The smell of this reinforcement agent might be irritating to your nose and throat, so be sure to wear the mask. Take a seat. I think that we're going to find out the direction. So after this find out the direction, we'll start the session. You can see now away from your sandwich like this W. Use the liquid here. Just set it. And just in. You try that into this. Sorry, I tried it. So. I use almost the process first and skin them. So you can here is the tool. And now we're on to put that crossword properties. After your shape of pattern, you want to select that. And so, for a few, just like a rough color, you can like one from blue to other flowers. So that's fine. That in real photos, it takes quite a long time to be put in. You know, the restoration work of terracotta warrior museum. In total, there are about 7,000 terracotta warrior pits if they are fully excavated. That's all about today's online class. And thank you.